This video is sponsored by PotownStore.com, the best place to get yourself some TCG code cards. They're compatible with TCG Live as well, and they literally have everything. Use the coupon code ZapDoesTCG for 5% off on everything on the website. This video is also sponsored by CardsMarket.com. This is a European platform where you're able to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. I personally use it every single day, and you can use the referral name ZapDoesTCG when creating an account. Also, this video is sponsored by YourPlaymat.com, the best website to create your own unique custom playmat from scratch. They ship worldwide and you can get 10% off by clicking the link down below. How cool is that? Last but not least, this video is sponsored by DragonShield.com, the best website to, of course, buy accessories. They have sleeves, they have binders, they literally have everything you want to start playing competitively. Or, if you're a collector, you can also get some fresh looking clear fit sleeves. They have everything. Check the link down below, of course, the affiliated link, and you're going to be helping out the channel so much. Thanks for sticking around with the commercials, and I'll see you guys shortly. Peace. What's up YouTube, it's ZapDoesTCG here and welcome back to another video on my channel. On this channel you're actually getting daily Pokemon TCG content, so be sure you are subscribed so you don't ever miss a single upload. Today we're going to be doing a tier list. Big shout out to Celio's network for providing this tier list on tiermaker.com, so we're actually able to, of course, rank all the decks in the competitive Brilliant Stars format. If you guys are hyped for this video, you know what to do. Be sure to let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button, as it helps out in many ways. So, we're gonna be getting things straight from the bat, as Mew Genesect is definitely a tier 1 deck. Not only is the meta revolved around it, people are playing Darkness, people are playing, of course, Path to the Peak, and everything to just counter Mew VMAX. So it seems to be, the deck that centralizes the meta. So, what else can we say? We're also gonna get some other decks out of the way. Let's get Jolteon. It's a tier 1.5 archetype, just because it is actually not too great against Mew VMAX. Their only way of winning is like Marnie and hoping that the pad sticks, but on top of that, Mew has their power tablets to easily knock out a Jolteon VMAX. There has been a huge increase in Urshifu ever since Arceus VSTAR came to the top table, so yeah, that's very interesting, because not only are people countering Arceus VSTAR with fighting types, Jolteon gets caught in the crossfire, and it, of course, is still great because it actually knocks out their engines. There's Bidoof, there is, of course, Sobbles. Jolteon is just great, and just picking those support Pokemon down with Max Thunder Rumble. It's still a very great deck regardless. You can win against Mew VMAX. But Mew VMAX, great players can also just make sure that they put their fusion energies on their Mews, do not do anything afterwards, and then out of nowhere with the Melodis Echo, boom, out of nowhere. Also, every Mew VMAX list is now running Oricorio, making life very hard for Jolteon, so it dropped down to tier 1.5, which it previously had tier 1. So pretty interesting to see in this tier list. There's a lot of decks out here that we're going to be talking about. I'm also going to be putting, we're just going to be putting all the tiers, one deck to just start off with. Tier 3 is Leafon VMAX. Leafon VMAX, in theory it is good, but it has a horrible Mew VMAX matchup. Also, Jolteon, that matchup is also pretty difficult because both of these decks that we just placed in tier 1 and tier 1.5 have free retreat cost. Leafon, of course, has its attack that, with the Grass Knot slaps a huge amount of damage, depending on how many energies there are in the opponent's retreat cost. And as we've known, they have 0 retreat cost. So if you have a terrible Mew VMAX matchup, you're actually going to be putting yourself down to tier 3, unfortunately, because the meta centralizes around Mew VMAX. I know it's still a very fun archetype, Leafon VMAX. You utilize Galar Mine, you have some quick sure pings here and there as well, and that means that Leafon can slap a huge amount of damage for only 2 energies. You also rely on the Greening Cells ability, and you also have the Leafon VSTAR for additional gusting effects. So it's not a bad deck per se, but I would not bring it to a tournament because I'm afraid of Mew VMAX. Then we still need to pick a tier 2 deck. Let's see here. Gengar Houndoom is the perfect example of a tier 2 deck, and the reason for that is that in theory it actually beats everything, right? You have Stonejourner, you have Morpeko, you have your Gengars, you have a very solid deck in general, but Gengar just battles against itself because its consistency just lacks. You could of course run some battle VIP pass to have yourself Bidoof, Houndoom, actually Houndour, but that's not enough to win most games because sometimes you're gonna get Marnied and then you draw a lot of bricks. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. You could be drawing all your evolution pieces that you don't want. You could be drawing your urns of vitality. Your urns means you're not able to insta play them. You're not able to draw some more cards. Yeah. So in theory it is great, but it actually battles against itself because of consistency issues. Okay, let's move along, shall we? Another tier 2 deck is, yeah, we're also going to be putting Gengar and Arceus VSTAR in here. In theory, it is very similar, but it is not running one price Pokemon. So you don't have the Houndoom, you don't have Stone Joiner or whatever. You just play Arceus VSTAR and Gengar VMAX. It is actually the first place winning list of Salt Lake City that indicates that this deck is good, but not a lot of people have caught onto that deck or have not tried it out, and for good reason, because both of the Pokemon in this list are weak to fighting. So if you're ever up against anything fighting, both of your Pokemon will go down. It was a great pick because coming from Brisbane Regionals, everybody was playing, yeah, Mew VMAX actually dominated that tournament, so I understand that Arceus with Gengar VMAX was a solid pick, but for now it's in my book still a tier 2 deck. Moving along, Arceus Inteleon, tier 1 for sure. I have seen so many people trying this out, and it seems that Arceus' best friend is not Gengar, it is not Duraludon, it is just straight up Inteleon as support. You use big charms to of course make your Arceus VSTAR as tanky as possible with 310 HP. You have Cheren Scare by your side and you can loop that very easily with Shady Dealings to fetch it out. You can Palpat your Cheren Scares back in the deck and you can infinitely, yeah, not infinitely, but do a lot of Cheren Scare loops and just undo turns of the opponent if they're not able to one-hit KO you. Luckily, there's Dunsparce in the format, making sure that Arceus has no weakness whatsoever. So Arceus is very strong. You can do some funky Sydney plays against Mew VMAX. There's Judge Path to the Peak combo. So even if the opponent, like Mew VMAX, tries to switching cups or Rotom Phone their way to put a stadium on top, you can just disrupt that instantly with a Judge Path to the Peak. There is of course accessibility to Quick Shoot, and that is actually going to help you out against the Malamar matchup. Malamar, in my opinion, is not well positioned right now because there's a high amount of Inteleon. Look at that. Jolteon is there, Arceus Inteleon is there. Malamar simply does not have a great time. Definitely because of the fact they can Quick Shoot, Galarian Zigzagoon, scoop up net, and they can actually get a multiple price turn KO and knock out all the Malamars. So Arceus VSTAR very well positioned, has I would say 50-50 against Mew VMAX if all goes well. Depends on if they have, like, if Mew goes second and has the Meloetta Donk shenanigans, it's way more difficult, but it's definitely manageable, and against everything else you can just outplay them, and everything with Shady Dealings in my book is very skill based. Okay, that is something to put aside. Let's see here. Which deck are we going to tackle next? Is Malamar. Malamar did very well. And I'm still going to be putting it at tier 1.5, but on the lower end, Malamar did extremely well at the Liverpool Regionals. We have to just note that is that people like Joe Bernard, there was also Owen Cameraman, and I believe there's like a handful of people that actually played Malamar to some great success, even Stefan Ivanov, if I'm not mistaken. So Malamar was put on the map, but with Jolteon resurging, and of course Arceus VSTAR being mostly popular than Mew VMAX lately, is actually going to be putting Malamar down because people can use Aqua Bullet, the Sword and Shield, Inteleon, and they could use Raihan and they get attached to it. It's gonna be hard for Malamar to survive. I'm not saying it's still a deck I would not play, but in this format with a lot of people running, of course, that Aqua Bullet shenanigans, I'm a little bit skeptical on the position of Malamar. Moving forward, Malamar VMAX with Arceus. I think it's better than the Gengar build, and I think it also belongs in tier 2. Could also be tier 1.5 if I'm not mistaken, but I have not seen too many people have success with Malamar VMAX. Malamar VMAX has an interesting grass weakness, which helps it out quite ridiculously. In my opinion, if you're playing Malamar VMAX, you have to, of course, know you can scout your opponent's hand and put a card you find there on the bottom of the deck, so very disruptive. Some people play that with Crushing Hammers even. Some people just play with Path to the Peak and Judge and Marnie and then put a card on the bottom of the deck, but it's a strong concept in theory, but it's still an Arceus build, and also Malamar on the bench could get gusted up. So yeah, that's my concern about this specific list. Let's talk about Urshifu. Should I put it in tier 3? I don't know. I don't know if we should. I'm lower end of tier 2, right? Yeah, I guess that's where we're gonna be putting it. The reason for that is that Urshifu is weak to, of course, Mew VMAX. You could be winning an entire tournament if you just play Melony, but the problem with that is that as long as you see like 3 Mews on your day 1, you are out. And that's something you don't want to see, so that's why we're putting it at tier 2. You utilize Octillery to search your Rapid Strike energy, you use Shady Dealings to find your Melony, you put energy in the discard pile, Melony, and then you can back-to-back GMAX Rapid Flow, have the Throwing Coach Pessimian on top of it, and Telescopic Sight. Very solid list, I would say, and yeah, I'm just afraid of the Psychic meta right now. Okay, talking about Urshifu, we're going to be putting Robin's winning list on tier 1.5. And the reason why it's there is that it's a super difficult deck to pilot, and I'm not expecting a ton of people mastering that list. Liverpool was just a couple of weeks ago, and if people did not master Urshifu Moltres by that time, there was a lot of one-offs in there. There was Peonia, there was Cynthia, there was Zinnia, there was so many ones-off that it makes it very difficult to pilot this deck. Definitely to some great success. I know it's easy to win against Mew VMAX with your baby Moltres here and there, and you also have Hoopa to KO some stuff, but in theory it's a difficult deck to play, so that's why I'm putting it at tier 1.5. Not meaning that it's a terrible deck. You can definitely win against almost everything if you, of course, master the deck, which I think is very difficult. Moving forward, tier 2 on the higher end is Suicune Ludicolo, I think. Suicune Ludicolo has shown up ever since the Salt Lake City performance, getting 2nd place there. And the cool thing is that it has a great damage potential. You are attacking with a basic Pokemon, which is something that you don't see a lot in this meta. So Suicune is the only basic V Pokemon that actually is doing pretty well. Even Zacian is not included into this tier, but if it was, I would be putting it at tier 3. So we have Suicune Ludicolo, you have the Fleet-Footed to draw an additional card, you set yourself up with some Sobbles, some Lotats, at one point you evolve into Ludicolo and slap huge damage with Blizzard Rondo. If the opponent has a huge bench, you just one-hit KO anything, and you also have Echoing Horn to put stuff on the opponent's bench. You can use Melony on top of using Cross Switcher, so you can boss and Melony on the same turn with this deck. I think it's a solid pick for any specific regional or international tournament, if I'm being honest. Next is tier 3. Is going to be Urshifu with Umbreon. I have not seen this deck ever since the Evolving Skies meta, to be honest. People were saying, Urshifu counters the Arceus boxes and Umbreon counters Mew VMAX, so it should be really high up on the tier list, right? But it is actually lacking a huge amount of results as of late. I have not seen this deck, as mentioned, ever since the Evolving Skies meta, and with Gengar overtaking the single strike deck as of late, we're seeing that everybody's just grabbing onto the Gengar hype train and leaving alone single strike Urshifu VMAX, Umbreon VMAX. Also, it lacks some consistency issues, just like every single strike deck, and you might think you win against Mew VMAX, but that is not true. If Mew VMAX gets a very great start and you only get out 1 Houndour and you don't get an attach on your Umbreon, it could be over before you know it. So, and also you can start with single strike Urshifu V, so it doesn't have that great of a Mew VMAX matchup that you might think. Definitely against great players that utilize their Meloetas to their full potential. On top of that, yeah, you have some consistency issues, and you're also not running Pad to the Peak, so all the decks can just outrun you. Yeah, putting it at tier 3. If you, your opinion is different, be sure to let me know by slapping something in the comments below. Okay, tier 1.5. Let's go for the birds here. Inteleon, Arceus, and the birds. Maybe putting it over here. Yeah. This is a deck that people have been seeing ever since Brisbane. You utilize Arceus with Inteleon, just like the aforementioned deck in tier 1. But this actually runs Galarian Moltres package, the big Galarian Moltres V, the Galarian Baby Moltres, and as well the Galarian Zapdos V. You have, of course, ways to just counteract. You utilize Raihan onto your Zapdos or onto your Moltres. You have some ways out in this meta, and you use, of course, Training Court to get it all happening. This is still a very great deck to play. I don't know if it's going to be better than the straight up Arceus Inteleon, so we're putting it at 1.5 for now. So yeah, that's how I feel about this list. Next up is a tier 2 deck, is Beedrill. Whoa, what am I doing? Beedrill with Arceus. Yeah, Beedrill with Arceus is what did we do? What did we do? Here is Beedrill with Arceus. Yeah, Beedrill with Arceus, I've seen this coming around with Sandaconda VMAX, with Flygon and everything thrown in there. So it is a box, you're able to use Single Strike Mustard, and you're going to be able to, with Cramomatic, empty your hand. You utilize the Beedrill to one-hit KO anything with special energy, so that means Mew VMAX with Fusion Energy, Arceus builds with double turbo energy, Jolteon with speed lightning energy, so a lot of special energies in the format right now. It actually is, of course, a deck that if the opponent is knowing what you're doing, they could be playing around it. So that's why you need some additional support in there. There could be other attackers in there. I've seen people, as mentioned, with Sandaconda VMAX to just, or maybe even Lycanroc VMAX to just punish the Arceus builds even further. I like the Lycanroc part because you can just snipe off Dunsparce, which is super fun. On top of that, this list requires a lot of practice to make perfect because there's a lot of things that could go wrong with this list. But in theory, you're able to summon a Beedrill and just sting people to death. That's what the deck is all about. You don't get it off every game, but it is here on tier 2. What else are we going to be talking about? Inteleon VMAX with Inteleon. Yeah, Inteleon VMAX, the Rapid Strike with Inteleon. Where do we put this? I want to be putting this on tier 3. I have not seen too much success of this deck, so we're going to be putting it at the higher end of tier 3. So Inteleon VMAX, in theory, is able to out-heal everybody with Share and Scare. Not Share and Scare, with Cheryl. You're utilizing Cheryl to, of course, heal off your Rapid Strike Inteleon VMAX. The problem I see with this deck, why is it in tier 3? Let's see here. Well, Arceus can also out-heal you. And you also are able to get one-shotted by a Mew VMAX. Also, you're weak to Jolteon. You can get Marnie. I don't know. Is this deck underplayed? That is the question, right? This deck could literally be underplayed right now and could be a sleeping pick. But for now, I'm putting it at tier 3 because I have not seen too much success with this deck, to be honest. Also, if you like go second or something and the Mew VMAX just bosses up your Inteleon before it's able to evolve your bad. Also, the Arceus players could do the exact same thing, so you will need to get out 2 Inteleons. It's a little bit difficult. You also need your Remoraid or your Octillery to find your energy. There's only 4 energies in the list, so I think in that sense it loses a little bit of consistency, and early game aggression just annihilates this deck. Moving forward, we're going to be talking about Ice Rider. Ice Rider is a solid tier 2 deck. There's nothing else to say about that. Oh, I keep on, yeah, here's Ice Rider with Calyrex VMAX and Inteleon. Solid pick, but it's just, just average, I would say. It's not bad, per se. Nobody's playing Metal. You could win definitely a lot of tournaments with it, but the problem is that sometimes this deck has horrible hands. You start off with a lot of your Drizzles and Inteleons in the hand. You only get one Ice Rider Calryex down. They boss it up. So everything with 210 HP that is wanting to evolve, and you only get one off, you just lose. That's what it is. But of course, with Leon and Choice Belt, you're actually hitting 310 numbers to just knock out Mew VMAX. But with Oricorio in the house, that's not gonna work, and you can also not quick shoot because of the fusion energy. So yeah, that's what it is. Whimsicott tier 2 deck as well. So lots of tier 2 decks with the Arceus builds. Gonna be putting it over here. It's a very nasty deck because with Trick Wind, you actually shut down the opponent from playing special energies, meaning if you get Crushing Hammer and Fan of Waves and get all the energies from the opponent's board, they're not able to attach special energies, which is super crucial against Mew VMAX. Maybe Mew VMAX will be running 1 copy of basic Psychic Energy just to counter Whimsicott VSTAR. Also, other decks are not able to attach their double turbo energy, meaning they're very slow. I know you can accelerate energies from the deck, so you could use Houndoom, you could use Alasa Sparkle, but you're cannot able to attach from the hand. So that's what makes Trick Wind from Whimsicott VSTAR so nasty. We've seen it in the Sao Paulo regionals. Moving forward, Duraludon, still tier 2. What am I saying? It's still everything with Arceus seems to be either in tier 2, tier 1.5, or tier 1. So it's just such a strong card. Duraludon suffers from the fact that Mew has been running Echoing Horn for the last couple of months. Also, with the fact that a lot of decks are playing basic energies, definitely the Arceus Inteleon build is playing just basic energies, which can just outrun Duraludon. Some of these lists also run Path to the Peak, which means you can just go through the Skyscraper ability. In the early phases of the in the early phase of the Brilliant Stars format, it was actually way better, but now it fell down quite tremendously. Okay, next up is another Ice Rider. We're going to be putting it here. Whether you're playing with the Inteleon engine or with the Arceus engine, still in tier 2 Ice Rider. And there's also Arceus with Bibarel without Inteleon. I'm going to be putting that. I don't know where to put that, to be honest. Is that better than Inteleon? Maybe it could be like also a tier 1.5 archetype. You play some counter things in here. I've seen some Jolteon with memory capsules to shut down all these Inteleons in the tier 1.5 slot. So yeah, Arceus with Bibarel, quite underplayed, I would say. Also going to be putting this over here. So this seems to be well. And then Hoopa with Moltres. How do we feel about it? You can win against Mew. You're never going to be winning against Arceus and Inteleon. So we're putting it at tier 2. Seems okay for me. Or just a higher end of tier 3. I have not seen Hoopa Moltres acting very well, but it could still be surprisingly well. So yeah, this is what I made from Celio's network tier maker. So this is the meta for April-May. So before, of course, the new set comes out. So let me know how you feel about this tier list. Is it something you agree upon? Let me know in the comments below. We have 2 solid tier 1 decks, and that is going to be Mew and Arceus Inteleon. Followed up by tier 1.5 decks, we have Jolteon, Arceus Birds, Urshifu Moltres, Malamar, and Arceus Bibarel counter stuff. So I'm very happy with the tiers, and I'm very happy with the Brilliant Stars format in general. It actually made sure that your deck building skills are up to point, as we've seen with Rapid Strike and Urshifu and Moltres and all the different Arceus builds. This is a healthy format, lots of decks to choose from. Which deck are you going to be playing at the next tournament, regionals or internationals? I'm very curious to hear your opinions down below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. It helps out in many ways. And of course, if you are in dire need to just get some TCGO code cards, you can check out PoketownStore.com. They of course get you covered, and you get 5% off your next order. There's also cardsmarket.com for European players. You can buy and sell physical cards on there, and you can use the referral name ZapDoesTCG. If you want to create your own custom playmat with your own logo or your own design or just your favorite wallpaper, go check out your playmat. You can get 10% off by clicking the link down below. And then Dragon Shield. If you're looking to protect your cards, you have sleeves, binders, deck boxes, you can click the link down below for Dragon Shield product. Anyhow, have yourself a fantastic rest of your day. This is the Brilliant Stars tier list, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for more Pokemon TCG epicness. Peace!